Can being lonely make you sick? A recent study found connections between self-reported loneliness and viral illnesses. To tell us more about this fascinating story is CTV's medical contributor, Dr. Marla Shapiro. Good morning, Dr.
Good morning.
Marla. You and I are both saying how interesting this study is. How do social relationships factor into our health?
You know, the single biggest predictor of health is social connectedness, and I found that stunning. So what we do know is that feeling as part of a group, feeling secure, feeling safe, impacts on what we call neuroplasticity, so how our nerves interconnect. And we know that that's very important not only for feelings of well-being, emotional well-being, but in terms of our immune function, our psychological function, and our stress-mediated function. And many of the pathways that we think of as physical pain are the same pathways that are activated with emotional pain.
So is there a difference between being isolated and being alone?
That's really the crux of what we're talking about. So lots of people can be alone, but not be chronically isolated or have a sense of being lonely. So you can be alone, but you still have a rich network of a community of friends that are out there that support you, and that also impacts on your neural interconnectedness. But for people who are chronically alone, chronically disconnected, isolated, not only do they lack the emotional support, but we know that it impacts on their neural support. So not only do they get the message that I'm alone and that itself may make them feel more frightened, less able to take self-care, it actually impacts on their immune system and the way that they respond to all types of illnesses across the board. Not only the typical immune-mediated one like viral illnesses, but anxiety, depression, there's cognitive impact on this, there's cardiac stroke, all types of impacts, disability across the board.
And this is a very big problem for seniors.
Huge problem for seniors. And often in the healthcare profession, we don't think to ask about who your emotional and social supports are. So being able to explain to an older person that social connectedness is so important, so volunteering, anything that will get you out into the community and make you feel supported and not isolated is not only important for what one thinks about your mental health, but so important for your physical well-being.
So what is known, and is there a lot known, about the effects of loneliness on your physical health? Are doctors just on the edge of learning about this?
Because of the ability to do functional MRIs and PET scannings, you actually can look at pathways that impact and see which pathways impact and how it does impact both on the stress-mediated response and on the neural pathways. A simple study that was done over the internet with younger adults where they were sent a ball over the internet to catch the ball. Eventually, the ball was removed from them. You could follow them with functional MRI and see that when they felt like they had been removed from the game, and this is a simple game, not an important life stress, their neural pathways of emotional pain were the same as the physical pain, and you could actually see that depression in neural function. So we're beginning to understand that our neuroplasticity is very dependent on our mental health and our emotional health, and lots of that has to do with the fact that as human beings, we need to be socially connected.
And is that your main takeaway?
I think that's the main takeaway, that it's important to recognize that that term social connectedness, not being isolated, is not only important for what seems obvious, your mental, functions and your sense of well-being and self-esteem, but your physical health will be impacted as well.
Okay, Dr. Marla, again, fascinating stuff. Appreciate your time today.